All right, welcome back to Freedom to Learn podcast. Today we have Sheraj Ragubia, uh, who we have been working with him for last 3, 4 years now, something like that. And he's very enthusiastic, and he did teach with us a lot of programs in the past. And also, he's a 3D printer expert. He owns a 3D printer as well. He came very handy during our COVID times where we couldn't take our 3D printer to any location because we are virtual, and he was demonstrating his 3D printer and 3D printing through um, remote access. Yeah, welcome, Sharaj.
Thank you so much. And I would definitely say I'm not an expert on 3D printing. It's definitely something that's a continuing. I'm always learning more and more, and I just feel like maybe a intermediate or beginner intermediate 3D printer guy. But I didn't graduate from college in mechanical engineering, so 3D printing has really been that me kind of expressing that profession because I haven't been able to in my actual career. So, yeah, and thanks for having me on your podcast. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So for those viewers who are not familiar with this, please click on subscribe and like button, so you get a lot of podcasts going forward. Um, there will be a series of podcasts, and you'll see more content from Sharaj as well. And also, you can reach out to some of our old podcasts. So, so Sharaj, so just to clarify what you said, first of all, piece of advice: I'm older than you. In tech, you always feel like you're intermediate or beginner. So there is always n plus one. So as a result, it always humbles you. It's something, especially if you get the foot off the pedal, you're a little bit, you end up being a little lagging. Not you as in you, anybody for that matter. But that phrase may not be relevant anymore because in the current tech course, if you um, get your foot off the pedal, it will stop. So I drive electric car, I know how it goes. If you take out the pedal in other cars, it still rolls. With Tesla, it will literally stop. So anyway, with that, yeah. So tell the viewers about a little bit more about yourself, and also maybe you can talk about this particular app that we are gonna talk about today, which is very cool, and then we'll get into other things.
Yeah, definitely. So a little bit about myself. I currently am getting more into cryptocurrency and DAOs, and I've been exploring the Harmony ecosystem in terms of like just DAOs and using dApps. And when I'm talking about DAOs and dApps, uh, I'm talking about decentralized autonomous organizations or decentralized applications. In cryptocurrency, decentralization is a hot word. You'll hear it a lot because that's really one of the main value propositions that cryptocurrency brings. Unfortunately, in reality, being decentralized is a spectrum. So your level of decentralization can definitely vary, and it can be kind of arbitrary whether something is decentralized or not. So it's really important when you're researching to do your own research and really form a solid understanding for yourself and not just take the words of others in terms of something being decentralized or not. Because, and I guess maybe I should define decentralized. Decentralization is um, kind of means that uh, you you don't have a central point of failure and also authority. So you have a lot of different participants involved in uh, coming up with consensus. And so that process is slower, but it's more robust in terms of being hacked or something like that. So, with Bitcoin, for instance, all the miners are protecting the value of the ledger. So they're making sure that the ledger doesn't change, isn't altered without an official transaction going through. And it's proven to be really good at this. So that's uh, one thing, and that's what makes it so valuable is that no country or single entity can take down the Bitcoin network. It's a network that's distributed all over the world, and there's a lot of moving parts behind it, but just a lot of infrastructure behind it that's not controlled from any single point. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit about cryptocurrency and what I've been getting into. So with DAOs, the idea is that the organizations are decentralized, automated, um, and when you, and my experience with DAOs is that it hasn't been decentralized and it hasn't been autonomous. It's been very human driven with a lot of human elements to it. So um, I'm kind of trying to figure out what the vision is for a DAO. Like, how can a DAO be successful, um, but still, uh, how like yeah, what does a successful DAO even look like? Because I think there are some examples. So there's like MakerDAO, which and they're primarily composed of developers that are that do work on uh, programs together, I guess. And so MakerDAO is like maybe the biggest or one of the bigger examples of a DAO. Some people would say Bitcoin is the largest DAO because that would be probably the closest thing to a decentralized autonomous organization that we know of so far. And so I've got this Peace Ants thing that we started out as a band originally, and it was just me and my friends making music and jamming, and we take our instruments out into to the beach or whatever, and we jam with other people, and it was just a really fun experience. And so I basically just couldn't let go of the Peace Ants idea, and I've just kind of been mutating it into other things. So now it's kind of become a DAO, and even I think it's becoming part of the Harmony ecosystem more and playing a role. And I see it as playing a role in education for more like more cryptocurrency based stuff and just another way to do things.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of project based learning. So having a project based learning center of some sort would be awesome.
Yeah. So definitely. So just to summarize some of the things you mentioned, number one is that there is the technology called blockchain, which is the heart of our crypto is one of the use cases of blockchain. And so, as you rightly said, blockchain is decentralized, some kind of a democratization of the authority to all over the places. And the importantly, especially in crypto, same thing applies in other use cases. Is your information is replicated and you can see the updates at every stage. So that's in a way. So in other words, excuse me, if you have invested in crypto and your information is available at every node, for people to see, not just it gets replicated everywhere, and more importantly, it's highly secured. You can't break in and make sense of it, and so with that, it becomes a lot more secured or protected than you know non-cryptos, for the lack of a better term. However, as it stands, there. I think we talked about this in the past. There is at some point, authorities or the governments have to accept this, and there is always going to be the churn in the beginning, as we speak right now, and some people are afraid of doing that because it's not fully accepted by the I'm talking to cryptos by the governments, and so once it we have to see what it entails when it gets accepted by the governments across the world. So that's when it becomes super cool, and also it's kind of money is controlled by public, not by central institution. So anyway, I think that's great. I want to get into the segue. With that said, you don't have any formal degree in cryptos or blockchain or anything like that, but you are able to do it, and you have a tremendous interest, and you are really passionate about doing that. So this is what we always talk about. There is a gap between real world, which you are in, and the education, which is somewhere else, as we speak. And with all due respect, whatever the degree, whatever the college they come out of, and the things that they may want to do it. If there is a kid sitting there in college or school now, he or she is listening about cryptos, and he or she wants to do or get into it, there are always ways to do it, but schools don't help. That's the point I'm trying to make. So you want to talk a little bit about it and see, what's your take on the gap, and what an individual should do to get over that hump, um, with the assumption that education system is not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And I was actually chatting with a teacher on a Twitter space the other day, Jerome, about this very thing. He was saying that you do have opportunities for grants for uh, not for supplemental courses, and so that it kind of made me think of you instantly. So Silicon Valley for You provides awesome value by teaching kids how to code at a young age, and I think that's awesome because coding is really, I think, it's different. Like you call them different languages because it's very much like a language, and so like anything, learning it from a young age can seriously help someone understand that language later on in their life. So uh, when I think about the education gap, I think it is something that people, I mean, I don't know, like education is a tough thing. I think at the core of it, you have an issue of teachers to student ratios. Um, 1 to 30, you're basically processing people through classrooms. When it's like 1 to 6 or 1 to 8, maybe even 1 to 10, then you're kind of more of a group. You're a little tribe. And uh, you just can feel more comfortable asking questions, and just I think it is more uh, uh, you can learn a lot better in those small group scenarios. Not to say that there isn't value for teaching, um, a large classroom, but I just think that having smaller groups doing stuff, you're gonna be learning like on so many different levels.
Yeah, so project-based learning, right? That's what you're alluding to earlier. So I think same thing here also, right? I always say this, right? I'm not going to sit here and say education system is this, that, or whatever, right? It is what it is. I always say that that can be one of the options for a given student. So in other words, if a student really likes the way it is, all the schools, colleges, and whatever he or she wants to do. That can be an option. There are a lot of students, they are being under challenged or over challenged. There are some students, although they are really good at what they do, they're not able to fit into the system. And there are a lot of students like Adam, for instance, most probably is being under challenged. That's my guess. So for those people, there has to be other options as well to not just follow this and just get out just like the way other guy is doing. In other words, there is only one thing right now, no matter who you are, and everybody has to fit in. If you don't, you're a bad student, although you're really good at certain things. If you fit in, you're a good student, although you may be average in the real world. So as a result, there is a wrong perception gets created for certain students when they get out of schools, and or people get wrong perception of them about their careers, and then things are happening things are going in opposite direction. There are a lot of people that haven't done much in schools, they are doing exceptionally well. And Microsoft CEO, I mean, with all due respect, he did degrees and all that, but he didn't come from IITs or MITs, Stanfords, and all that. Whereas, with all due respect, a lot of people that come from these elite schools are not keeping up with the expectation of their IQ levels and credentials, so to speak. So yeah, so with that, right? Like for instance, so I've been talking. I mean, I think you saw it. I spoke to Adam. Adam is your nephew, for those who don't know. So
Adam, Adam.
he's been with us, Silicon Valley, for you for 3-4 years. Now he's at a point where you can give him any project, he's ready to do it. In fact, I always tell other people, although he's in only 10th grade or something, and you can speak to him as if he's in the industry. So talk a little bit about your association with Silicon Valley for you, everything you know about Adam, whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah, so my first experience teaching with Silicon Valley for You was pretty neat. I got laptops and got the Scratch on them, and we handed it out to the kids, and we went through some Scratch courses, Scratch tutorials, and yeah, it was a good learning experience for me. The kids, I think they learned stuff. It's interesting, like trying to make it engaging and exciting. I definitely had challenges with that, but I did my best to try. I think maybe I could have made it a little more fun somehow. But yeah, it was a good experience, and it's and like I said, it's great to learn these languages when you're young, because it's just easier and you retain it, and it's a nice foundation, because you have really smart people building these platforms for people to learn like these foundational elements, and so it's it's a free resource, so it's just creating win-win situation.
Yeah. So, I always say that, right? So, speaking of mentoring someone is the best way to really learn, to be honest. I always say you become a good student by being a teacher. So, and I know a lot of times people say, oh, I've been learning this for so long. Yeah, unless you practice applying it, practice doing it, you're not really learning. If you're just glancing at it or just reading about it, and yeah, it's good, but at least in tech, I don't know about history and other things. Yeah, probably you can learn.
That's definitely one thing I did with Adam. I would definitely, whenever he came back, because he was working with you guys and he'd have all these cool projects to talk about. And I'd always challenge him and be like, okay, so explain this to me. Like, how does this work? Like, and I'd always make him like dig deeper. So, and he was always, he's such a smart kid, and so kind, and he's always very thoughtful and
Willing,
and
willing.
trying to help out. So he's always trying to explain himself. So I really love talking to him about tech stuff and all that.
You also went to hackathons with them, if I remember well. I mean, you think you went to San Francisco or
Yeah, yeah. But you know
Florida?
what? I don't know. Like a lot of the hackathon, I was just kind of like, it was like, I guess there's kids who like prepare things beforehand, and so you don't really get that real hackathon
Right.
feel behind
Yeah.
it. But I think it is great that the kids, like at that age, they're working on all these complex problems like stock analysis and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and at least just getting their hands dirty with all the material.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it's see. I guess at the end of the day, the way so speaking of, there are a couple of things I want to mention. All these are all processes. It's not it's not like if you try this a couple of months, it's going to happen. You might learn a little bit, but you have to continue to do it. So in other words, although they brought some code from home or whatever, and then they assemble that and then showcase, still, if they continue to do that, they're going to make progress. There's no doubt about it's just a way to enter, right? There are many ways to get in, but as long as they keep going, if they don't, it doesn't matter how much you did, how well you did. If you stop, it's going to stop. So the other thing I always say is that God gave us this ability to learn instinctively. So before we go to school, any human being, right, as a child, we already learn a lot before going to school, right? We already speak language, and we already sort of know how to follow, how to walk. If somebody says go left, we know go right. Point is that we didn't go to school to learn all these. We were able to do it without going to school. And then other example I always give is for especially in tech. For instance, this game you're going to talk about, or even phone, just give it to a kid. You don't have to explain; they just figure it out. So, in other words, there is a built-in instinct slash ability to quickly learn that was given to a child. However, if a child becomes a 40-year-old person, he or she may not have that same enthusiasm or grasping ability. In other words, if you give a phone to 40-year-old person or 50-year-old person, he or she may not be able to figure it out. But give it to kid, you don't have to tell them, you don't have to tell them anything. They'll get to the game, they'll play, and they'll tell you how to use it. So, and I have an example. My nephew lives in India. I sent a iPhone. I set the password all zeros. My idea was to once they open, I will call them and tell them the password. The guy called me with that phone. So
He just guessed zero
he
zero zero
got the
zero.
password. I don't know how in the world he guessed it.
Yeah,
And then he figured out iPhone. He connected to Wi-Fi. He understood FaceTime. He did the
nice.
FaceTime to me without single instruction. This was 6 7 years ago, not now.
And that
So
kind of reminds me that I mean that's kind of like Steve Jobs's. That was his whole idea was
vision.
these things should just be intuitive. You shouldn't have an instruction manual to use it and whatnot.
Yeah. So that's a nice segue into what you want to present today, right? This Gather Town. It looks great. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance since yesterday to today to go through it, but why don't you explain to the viewers what it does and
Yeah,
who?
so
What?
Gather Town is a neat little way to meet up with people in a sort of virtual environment. So this is like a fully customizable space that you can have and you can actually walk around in. If I go this way, I may teleport back. Oh, yep, teleports me back. So this is go back. Oh. Guru, can you move so I can
Yeah,
go around a little bit? Move to the
yeah.
right.
Let me move.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me. Okay,
There we
here we
go.
go.
So now I can move around a little bit, and it's kind of like Game Boy style graphics, and that keeps it like nice and low bandwidth, so a lot of people can use it. And so it also has a functionality when you walk away, the person can no longer hear you. So if I go here, Guru's gone and he can't hear me. But now I walk back
Why
and he
is
can hear
that?
me
Why
again.
is that? Why?
It's just to give the illusion of distance.
Oh, I see. But this is not a lot of distance, right? Like if I go to a different room, yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, we are in the garden with four chairs. We're not that too far, even physically, right?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I wonder if I could change that in the settings or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think so. Yeah. But like if I go to a different room or a different building, yeah, I agree. That did you lose me?
Lost you for a second, but I followed you. So can you hear the water in the background?
Uh, no, not really.
If you
Where?
turn your volume up, maybe.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, so you can have things there. So this water fountain over here, it's a
Yeah.
sound emitter. So when you go closer to it, it's like you're, close to it. It's just kind of a fun little thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
So basically, for those who are following, let me give it a shot, and you tell me. So basically,
absolutely.
this is a place where people can go from anywhere in the world, whether you're a group of friends or otherwise, and then you can create your own um, ambience slash um, physical layout, and then just hang out. For instance, right now we were at a coffee place, right, sitting across the table for tea, or you can go to library or fitness center, whatever it is, uh, and then um, and then you can just get there, hang out, talk to each other. Everything is virtual, obviously, and then you can also have people gatherings, in a Twitter space or um, other maybe auditoriums to gather and then exchange ideas and opinions, things like that. So in other words, for folks to meet in the evening and just chat if you want, just as if you're going to park. You go to park, you meet some random people, and you can do the same virtually here.
Yep. And so another benefit to this is that there's some interactive stuff you can do too. So, Guru, do you want to move to the left and towards the whiteboard at the top left of the room?
Yeah. So let me follow you. Give me a second.
All right. Yeah. You following me?
Yeah,
Okay, there we
yeah, I'm
go.
following you. See, that's another thing. Cool thing is you can follow. So that you
Yeah,
just
it's
tag
pretty
along.
cool. And it's cool to roll around as a group too.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
So you can see here, if you press X, it'll open up the whiteboard, and it may take me a while to load because this computer isn't super great.
But I don't see X though at all.
Oh, you
You,
just press X on your keyboard.
hmm. Okay, got it.
So that's just the command when you get close to stuff to kind of activate it.
Yeah, it's like yeah, I got it. So it's like sharing the notes.
So if you open up Canvas, you can see you can work on stuff. So you can write stuff down directly. You can make like plots with like flow charts or whatever,
Yeah,
and it has a notes function which functions as like a Google Drive. You can interact when you do stuff on here. So it just creates a more dynamic meeting space. So instead of a Google Doc along with the Zoom meeting, you have it integrated here.
very cool. Very cool. All
So
right. So let me ask you. This is the last question you typically ask as part of my podcast. So if what is the one piece of technology that something you want and doesn't exist today?
That's a good question. Uh, the thing
It
is,
can be
there's so many things in development, I can't even keep up with what's coming out. So it's just like I'm already overwhelmed by what's happening. It's like there's no room to want more things.
I can give you a few ideas, right? For instance, it can be anything that, Star Wars type thing, it's like a fantasy type thing, or for instance, metaverse, right?
Yeah,
So that this experience that we are having right now, I guarantee you, in 3 to 5 years, I'll be sitting in your room without sitting there, and vice
yeah,
versa. And guarantee you, I guarantee Zoom may be already working on it as we speak. The other
yeah.
thing is, people like, when I asked, I heard a lot of funny ones. One girl said that she wants some kind of a USB drive type thing to take a dump of the brains and then put it away and and then just forget about all those things. You just it's just as if you do in the hard disk. You clean up everything,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
when you need, you just put it back, and you get that memory back and use it as needed.
Yeah, it reminds me of that movie with Jim Carrey when he forgets about his girlfriend or
Liar,
whatever.
liar, 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 right? Yeah.
No,
Is that
not
the
Liar
liar?
Liar, a different one. It's a dramatic one. He's all dramatic in it.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
So liar, liar is okay. So he doesn't want to lie.
Also
So
a
yeah.
good movie.
So
But
that's
yeah, no,
one.
definitely.
There's
What?
tons of them, right? I mean, other person who said, yeah. So other guy said, oh, I won't fall asleep like that.
Yeah.
If I want to sleep, there's this device I press and then I sleep
Yeah.
without thinking. I don't need any warm up, wind down, so all that. So yeah, so yeah, it can be anything. That
So, okay, first thing that comes to mind is I would say like Minority Report with Tom
no,
Cruise.
yeah,
So he had that whole thing with his hands. He had like the board that was virtual reality and stuff. He moved stuff and all
that's gonna
that.
happen. That's gonna happen.
I've seen
That's
it.
coming.
I've seen it, but the presentation is just like you have to wear these stupid ass VR goggles. Like I
I
don't want to
know
wear
that
these
will
big
go
bulky
away. That
things.
will go away. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
See, when I don't know how, I don't know if you saw the first cell phone. I don't know. I mean, I used it. It's a massive, this big, okay, and then there is a big antenna. So
Yeah, yeah.
like
I've
even
seen
in the
it in
movies,
movies.
yeah, exactly. In the movies, it's a show off. It's like if that guy has a longer antenna, that guy is a big shot. So, so he throws and then he says hello and all. So I remember when I landed here in US in 1993. I remember very well. Um, so I was sent to Iowa for 3 months for some project, and then so I got back, and my director back then, I don't know for whatever reasons, he came to airport to pick me up. Okay, I vividly remember. I sit in his car, and then he takes this big time cell. It's like this big cell phone, and then it's also attached to the car somehow. And
Right.
he
Yeah,
put it
that's
out,
super
there is a
fancy.
wire hanging out, and then
Dang.
he I vividly remember, I'm calling on cell phone. He says it's like a big deal. It's like I'm calling on a cell phone means we are investing so much into you. That's the message he's telling me. Basically, I'm wasting air minutes on your behalf because we are investing a lot of money into me because it's trying to make me feel good.
Gotcha,
Uh,
gotcha.
so silly when you think about all those things.
Yeah.
So so anyway, my point is that all these VR devices. That's like I know what you mean. I mean, if you have a smaller head, you might get headache. Uh, they're all going to be this tiny. Trust me. Give 3 to 5 years
Could definitely see it. Yeah,
because
definitely.
it all comes down to the silicon. So the
Mm.
more into chip, it becomes small. Right now, the most of the VR is in the software. When you have software and all these devices around it, you have certain lens and I don't know all other equipment that is there. When you have that, so it's like, for instance, laptop is this big because there's a lot of software in it. if I have to put all the laptop functionality, and then if I don't change anything, and if I want to put it in a chip, that will be only this much. That's it. So, so that's the difference. So, point I'm trying to make is, so we work with Silicon Valley for you works with a lot of machine learning companies right now. ML is going to chips. Sentient is one of our company. They are based out of LA.
That's cool.
So, so as they go into silicon, your devices become smaller. That's how phones became so tiny. I know now they're again expanding to have a bigger screen. That's a different stuff. But otherwise, I don't know if you remember when iPhone 4, it was like only this big, right? Very small. And compared to massive cell phones I've seen in my life.
Right,
I
right.
had one print one. I still have it. It's
Nice.
crazy. I mean, it's antique now. It's just for a museum purposes.
Yeah, you got to put it behind glass, frame it.
Hey, thanks a lot. And so just want to thank you for taking time. And so just for those who don't know me, my name is Guru Yadeshwarapu. I'm the founder of Silicon Valley for You. And please subscribe and like our channel so that you get very cool podcasts going forward. Thanks, Sharaj.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Guru. It was great talking to you about crypto and all the works. I'm always down to talk crypto.
Yeah, we'll do again. Trust me, we'll do again another podcast more deep into crypto. Obviously, the whole world is interested right now. I am interested. I have some depth, and there are so many, that so many currencies out there, and there is a market fluctuation right now. It's going down. I don't know if you saw Coinbase commercials. Oh, they were saying all that. Now it's back. It's a if you want me to give you an analogy, back in the day when cloud first got introduced, it was almost like this. But cloud is not a consumer product. As a result, the noise was not this big. The crypto happened to be, or not happened to be, crypto is a consumer's product. So as a result, you hear a lot of noise from everywhere. Whereas only in enterprise and tech companies were dealing with those ups and downs with cloud. And if you, I don't know if you remember, Amazon was in losses for many, many years. Every year, I mean, back then, a lot of people used to understand, I mean, confused about this macro electronics. Amazon was losing money. Who is giving money to them? I mean, it's like, why? I mean, so because they have no returns. I mean, they are the first ones to build massive public cloud, and they were giving away free for 1 year. And a lot of people were not using cloud that much. And not only that, they were doing a lot of other things. Point I'm trying to make is that by the time cloud took over, people started adapting to it. It took good 7 to 10 years. Crypto probably takes a lot longer because you're dealing with consumer here who may not be very tech savvy, so to speak, to get to. So whereas here we are talking with all the tech companies, as a result, it's kind of took over. And then when how many companies Amazon have, it's just mind-boggling. I mean, the guy number of products he did just drives you nuts. He had so many products; they all started clicking at once. That's why Amazon is today Amazon, because that's why he's the richest guy, because he had so many products. Not many of them were making money except selling books, and but then he had a he he had that persistence, and he had that guts to push it through, and then investors bought into it, and then all the products started became profitable just like that. Boom, within years. It's like now he's crazy anyway. So now everything is profitable for him, literally. And I don't think there are many failure products. Even the what is that book reader?
Kindle?
Kindle. There was a time people used to say Kindle is failure, but I think Kindle now you have apps and everything. I think even they are profitable. Everything is profitable right now. But if you look at the guy number of products, including hardware, they did including hardware, just crazy. And only thing that I think they couldn't pull it off was phones. They didn't have. I don't know if I think they announced Amazon phone or something like that. I forgot what it was, but other than that, pretty much everything clicked.
Phones is tough. It's a huge, very expensive industry to get into, and very competitive. So
phones.
yeah, phones are very competitive.
Yeah. You know who's getting in now?
Who?
Tesla.
Oh, good. Yeah, Tesla.
So I saw, because I have Tesla car, I get these emails. So they have
Nice.
Tesla phone. So for Tesla car guys, having Tesla phone has some benefits, obviously.
That's pretty cool.
He's gonna do that. And
I like Tesla. I like what they're doing. They get a lot of bad stuff going on, and you know, they're a big company. They're bound to do something not that not everyone agrees with. So
no,
yeah,
he's a
and
sexy guy. So that I give credit. I mean,
yeah.
his word is bad. That guy is crazy, and he's doing a lot of things, good things.
And I do have to say, it is a wild west out there in the crypto world. The word out there is HODL. Do you know what HODL stands for?
No.
It stands for hold on for dear life.
Yeah.
So you HODL your crypto. You don't hold it. You're HODLing.
Yeah.
Because
And
it's so volatile, and it really is the wild west. You have
I am one of the investors. I told you already. I invested in on Coinbase. I don't even log in.
yeah, I put my money in Terra Luna and Celsius. Those are two things that completely basically close. Celsius hopefully will get that money out, but it's not looking great. And Terra Luna was just a complete failure. So, and that was a top 10 crypto. So being in the top 10 doesn't necessarily mean full on security. So I mean, in my mind, it did mean it was more secure or more less risky, but not the case. Algorithmic stablecoin has never worked in the past, and there's a reason for that.
So they see. I call them, very high level growing pains. This is going to happen, and some are going to be hit, some are going to. So I guarantee you, it gets to a point where things solidify, and whoever hits that timing, they're going to do well. It's very as simple as that, and it's all about timing, as you know very well. So again, thank you very much. I have another meeting at 3. So we'll touch base very soon. Maybe.
Sounds good, Guru. Until next time, thanks for having me, man.
You too. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Bye.
Likewise.